Well, Bennett Kessler filed this following report. Bishop Police Chief Chris Carter has confirmed that over the weekend, the Bishop Police Department, in conjunction with the Inyo County Attorney's Office, served a search warrant at a Bishop area home in a continuation of their investigation of possible embezzlement from the County Welfare Office in Bishop. Now, officers served the warrant at the home of Kenneth and Don D. Rossi in the Bishop area. Chief Carter said as a result, officers found a small amount of controlled substance, which led to the arrest of Ken Rossi, who was transported to the Inyo County Jail in Independence. Now, asked if police and attorneys recovered any evidence related to the welfare money embezzlement, Chief Carter said the arrest of Ken Rossi was unrelated. He also said, quote, "Our investigation is progressing and Don D. Rossi is a person of interest," end quote. She is an employee of the Inyo Welfare or Social Services Office in Bishop. Now, last week, Health and Human Services Director Gene Turner had issued a press release that said employees in social services had detected irregularities and that, quote, "a substantial amount of money was taken," end quote. Turner said the irregularities pointed to a potential theft of public funds in social services. She reported this to Inyo law enforcement and to the state. Now, Director Turner said because this case is under investigation, she could not reveal any other details. She offered assurances that steps were taken to stop what she called, quote, "this emerging scheme to defraud the public," end quote. Now, both Turner and Police Chief Carter said they could not comment on the exact amount of money involved, although Turner did say the amount is substantial. Well, Bennett Kessler filed this story. As most suspected, the Christmas season and recent holiday drew booming business to Mammoth Lakes stores. Mammoth Tourism Director John Erdy told the town council last week that retailers, lodging, and restaurants reported breaking records. Now, Erdy said bookings remain strong and that the number of air service passengers has gone up this season, some 20 to 30% more passengers in the San Francisco, San Diego, and Orange County routes, 12% in the Los Angeles route. Early snow, Erdy said, and the advertising of it gave Mammoth momentum. Now, on a different business note, new Mammoth Lakes Chamber of Commerce President Jack Copeland stood up at the council meeting to say, quote, "We are pro-development of business, but not at any expense. We want reasonable, responsible, and sustainable growth," end quote. Now, Copeland also said, quote, "It's very clear Vons needs to expand and even get a facelift," end quote, and that will actually happen this year. But he noted there could be unintended consequences to other businesses. Now, Copeland repeated that the chamber is not anti-growth, but that small businesses should be considered if growth comes up. He added that the chamber hopes the community will be, quote, "development ready," end quote, when growth comes back. Now, meanwhile, Mammoth Town government continues to shriek. Earlier, the town council had made it clear that they would eliminate the mobility and airport commissions to save staff time and money in their push to pay off the big lawsuit debt. Now, Eric Wasserman, a mobility commission member, stood up to take the town council to task on how they informed commissioners about this elimination. He said he received an email December 26 about a meeting to get rid of the commission that was scheduled for January 2nd. He said he got no reply or no response from his reply on his email. Now, Mayor Matthew Lehman apologized for the feeling that the commission was not respected. That was not intended, Lehman said. "You've done a lot of heavy lifting." He said at some point the town may decide to bring back the commissions. Now, later in the meeting, town manager Dave Wilbrecht also apologized to commissions for short notice. The council then voted unanimously to eliminate the mobility and airport commissions. Well, on an up note, the council noticed Mammoth Police Officer Doug Hornbeck for 15 years of service. Mammoth Police Chief Dan Watson said Hornbeck has worked as a detective until recently and likely will again. Watson called Hornbeck, quote, "a really good example of the benefit of small town police departments," end quote. The chief said Hornbeck lives in town, knows many, and is a bridge between the police department and the community. Chief Watson said Doug Hornbeck is the kind of seasoned officer that makes any department better. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed this story. President Obama signed the Mount Andrea Lawrence Designation Act into law. Senator Barbara Boxer and Congressman Buck McKeon had introduced identical bills on this designation in honor of Lawrence, who died in 2009. Now, family members, local officials, and environmentalists supported the idea of naming a mountain peak after Lawrence. In a press release, Senator Barbara Boxer said, quote, Andrea Lawrence dedicated her life to protecting the treasures of the Eastern Sierra. Her passions and achievements were larger than life, which is why I cannot think of a more fitting tribute than to name this majestic peak in her honor, end quote. Mount Andrea Lawrence is a 12,240-foot mountain peak in Mono County on the northern border of the Ansel Adams Wilderness and east of Yosemite National Park. Now, accomplishments by Lawrence, as many locals know, include being a three-time Olympic winner and the only American double Olympic gold medalist in alpine skiing. She was inducted into the U.S. National Ski Hall of Fame in 1958. At the age of 25. Now, sports writer and documentary filmmaker Bud Greenspan called her, quote, the greatest winter Olympian of all time, end quote. Senator Boxer noted that Lawrence was also a committed conservationist who worked to protect and restore Mammoth Lakes, Mono Lake, Bodie State Historic Park, and other important natural and cultural resources of the Eastern Sierra. Lawrence served as a Mono County supervisor for 16 years, and during that time she was instrumental as an air pollution control district board member in negotiating the agreement that led to the cleanup of the Owens Dry Lake. Now, Lawrence also founded her own Andrea Lawrence Institute for Mountains and Rivers to promote environmental protection and economic vitality in this region. Well, Bennett Kessler also filed this report in the early afternoon on Sunday after 2 o'clock. As the wind picked up, fire broke out in heavy brush east of the Owens River and south of Warm Springs Road, just south of Bishop. A huge plume of smoke was visible from Highway 395, and the Bishop Volunteer Fire Department rushed to the scene. Eventually, firefighters from many towns in Inyo and Mono counties fought this fire. Now, right after the call went out, Bishop Fire Chief Ray Seguin could be heard on the police scanner saying that it looked like 10 acres and growing as he found the origin of the fire off a winding dirt road that led south off of Warm Springs Road. Now, at one point, authorities said the fire had the potential to grow to a couple of hundred acres, considering the fuels, the high wind, and the rate of spread. Firefighters from CAL FIRE turned up quickly, and so did units from Big Pine, and Independence volunteers were called out for mutual aid. At one point, officials said at least 5 agencies were fighting the fire, from Independence in the south to Mammoth Lakes in the north. Now, by 4 p.m., it sounded like the forward movement of the fire was slowed down, but crews kept up the work. Units of the Inyo County Sheriff's Department stood by at the scene. Now, last night, Glenn Barley of CAL FIRE issued an update of what they are calling the spring fire. At 7 p.m., the fire was 80% contained and had burned 15 acres. Full containment is expected today. CAL FIRE said 14 engines responded to the fire, along with 3 crews, 1 bulldozer, 4 water tenders, and 95 personnel. And the cause of this fire is now under investigation by CAL FIRE. We'll be back with more news.